Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm back again with another mukbang. This time I went to Burger King. You guys know, well, I don't know if you know, but I love spicy chicken sandwiches since I worked at what? Oh my god, that is so funny. Since I worked at Wendy's, I was like, I've always loved chicken sandwiches. So right now what I do, not all the time, but I like to try the different chicken sandwiches there are out there. Like I've tried McDonald's. McDonald's was pretty good, but I noticed that they go a little shy on the sauce. Like I'm not lying. Every time I have gone, I open the bun, there's seriously like one little dot, because I know they use it, you know, to put it in there. But come on, on the picture it shows sauce on the bottom and on the top, but they never do that. So. And one day I went and I said, this burger is dry, and the chicken patty was like almost black. It was burnt. Anyways, so I wanted to try the Burger King spicy chicken sandwich. It's already looking saucy, but it almost looks like the person that put it in here was mad and just shoved it in there. It looks, oh Lord, it looks good actually. Oh man, look at this. It's messy, but it's okay because it has a lot of sauce. How to do my little thumbnail. So you don't want to know what's funny? I ordered some cheddar and jalapeno bites, right? I ordered a 4-piece. I thought they were gonna be big. So I ate one in the car. I took one out. It was like a square, like almost this big, little somewhat like that. I was so hungry. I've only had eggs this morning for breakfast. So I just grabbed one. You know, it looked like a nugget, so I ate it. Well, it was 2 in 1 because this is really how big they are, so now I have 2 left. Oh well, but they're really good. Like I really like them. Anyways, okay, let me put this on my plate because the wrapper is super messy. My kids are in the sala, living room. All 3 of them, they're eating. Santiago's just on his bouncer watching his shows. But is this even the spicy? Because, you know, sometimes I'll be ordering a spicy and they be giving me the regular one, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, so I got zesty sauce because I love their sauce. And I was like, man, that sandwich with zesty sauce is going to be so good. Oh my god, the KFC spicy chicken sandwich is so good too. And last time I was there, I got the KFC sauce and it was so good. I kept this one and I know it's going to be bomb with this chicken sandwich. So, and I got me a Diet Coke. All right, let's get into it, because sometimes people be getting mad and they're like, would you just eat already? Like, damn, look at these, look at all them pickles. Anyways, let's take a bite. That tastes like the KFC one. Exactly like it, not even lying. It's good. I think it's better than McDonald's. Eat one of these little cheese bites with some zesty sauce. But yeah, that KFC sauce is so good. I only asked her for 1 and she gave me like 3, and I was like, well, thank God she gave me 3 because they were so good. This was a while ago. I went to KFC with my mom. Anyways, today I have a story time. Today I'm gonna be talking about the other crazy ex, because, you know, some of you guys have been waiting for that story and like have asked me, when are you gonna do a mukbang talking about your ex? And I'm like, I don't know yet. So today's the day. Hopefully I'm able to, because they're gonna be knocking, crying. My Coke is flat. I haven't had Coke all week. So getting one today, a Diet Coke, and it's flat. Anyways, okay. If you guys are new to my channel, hello, my name is Yuri. And you can't see my food. I just noticed. Let me use one of these lotion things to make the plate. There we go. Andale, ahora sí. Anyways, I have talked about my crazy ex, one of my crazy ex in a past video. If you want to check him out, just go to my page and you'll see it. Why does this taste, oh, because of the zesty sauce. Really good. $4, I mean 4 for like $1 something. So this ex, this one is Mexican. You know, he's Mexican. He was kind of a lot older than I. Not a lot, maybe by like 10 years. I've always liked older guys, by the way. And you know, so this guy, we met at a dance, and I know his brother. I've known his brother for a long time. Not like talk like we're friends, but like, como se dice, acquaintances. There you go. So, you know, I've known his brother, and you know, we saw them there, and I'm gonna describe what he looks like. We're gonna name him Juan. Okay, we're gonna name him Juan. And Juan is very light skinned, you know, güerito. And I've always been into güeritos. Like, they were always, you know, I always had thing for like the güeritos. But anyways, Cesar's not güerito. But that's okay. I mean, the morenitos are cute too, but anyways, that's not the point. So he's light skinned, brown eyes. His hair was almost like a dirty blonde, like, I don't know. He was a little bit older. At the time when I met him, he was probably like 36 and I was like 21, 22. Okay, so maybe he's a lot older than I. But very, not crazy. He's not crazy. He was just a drug addict. We met at a dance. His brother was trying to, you know, talk to me, but I didn't like his brother. I mean, I was just like, you know, you focus on one and that's the one you want. That's the one you think is cute, you know. But he was shy. He was like, hey, what's your name? Juan. Like, he was super shy. And, you know, after the dance, we gave them a ride home because they were drinking. Somebody had dropped them off. I don't know. We gave them a ride home. I knew where they lived. We gave them a ride home. And then, oh no, before that, we went to this, oh, we were in the parking lot talking. But, you know, Juan, the shy one, wouldn't talk. Like, he was just quiet. But he kept looking at me, like, you know, he had his cachucha on. You know when they have their cachucha on and they kind of just look at you like this? Kind of like, oof. That's how he kept looking at me, and, you know, he just kept staring at me. So then, finally, we were about to leave, and he grabs my arm and he pulls me to the side, and he was like trying to talk to me, but since my friend and his brother were there, he couldn't really talk. So he pulled me to the side and he's like, you know, just talking, and then he's like, when can I see you? And I'm like, I don't know. Point is, we took him home. I was like, I gotta go, you know, it's late. I think I worked the next day. So I went and I took him home. Sorry, I forgot I was eating. He didn't even ask me for my number, nothing. But he already knew where I lived, because his brother and his friend knew where I lived. So he asked, where does she live, you know. So I was in my computer one day at night. This was like 2 days later. It was late. It was like 9 or 10. Everybody was already asleep. I was living at my sister at the time, at my sister's, and you know, her kids were asleep. I was in my computer in my room, and she comes in and she was like, hey, there's this guy outside looking for you. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, you know, he's cute. She's like, he's like güerito, you know, and she's trying to describe him to me, and I'm like, oh, that's the guy. And then she's like, he looks related to some, you know, some girl we know. Is that her brother? And I'm like, yep. And she's like, wow, he's really cute. So I went out. My tongue was so numb. I was like, seriously, when I get really nervous about something and somebody gives me like this news that's like just too much for me to handle, like my tongue gets really numb. And I was like, huh, how are you? I'm just kidding. I wasn't talking like that. Did I really finish my egg bites? Boo. So anyways, I come out there and it's him, and he's just like, hola, you know. Oh man, when he was standing at the door, this breeze, there was like this little breeze, you know, it was windy, and you know, the wind hit me, and I could smell him, and I could smell it right now. Like, I can remember that smell, his cologne, the way he smells. Whew, I was like, Lord, he smelled so freaking good. And he had like those tank tops, not tank tops, but they're like the sleeveless shirts. Oh God, I can still remember what he looked like. And the shirt he was wearing, the hat. What am I doing? Stupid. I just wasted another zesty sauce. You know, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, how'd you know where I lived? And he's like, oh, my friend told me because he knows where you live. I'm like, oh. Anyways, I'm not trying to make this too long. Let's fast forward. You know, we were dating. He took me on a date, my first date, on my birthday. We met in September, and I think I was barely gonna be 21. Anyways, I took him out to eat, whatever. So we were together for a few months. He was, how did I find out he was into drugs? He did, you know, the, can I say it on here? The white powder, cocaine. That's what he did. And I don't think I was aware of it at first. I just didn't know, and when we just met, he wasn't gonna be like, you know, right in front of me. So he was the type of guy that was very jealous also. If I looked to the side, he'd be like, why are you looking over there? Who's over there? You know, like he was jealous. He didn't live here, by the way. He lived in LA. He was only here visiting. And you know, he would come up every year to hunt. I don't know what the hell. He would come up. His family was up here. So he would come every year. Then when I found out he was leaving, I was like, eh, because you know, he had kids and he had to go back to his kids, and I was like, no. But anyways, yeah, the spicy chicken sandwich is good. So, you know, that's how he was. The only thing is that he was very lazy. He did not work. He relied on other people. He had so many bad things that you would be like, why would you be with a guy like that? But let me tell you something. When you like someone, when you fall in love with someone, you don't care about anything else. You just love them and you want to be with them. They make you happy, and when you're not with them, you're not happy. Like, that's how it is. And when I was with him, I was happy. We were together 24/7. We practically lived with each other, but we didn't, because we didn't have a, you know, I couldn't take him to my house. He didn't have, you know, he was going to take me to his parents' house. So we just hung out all day, like every day. We were just together, like in my car. We would go to the park, you know, we were just together every single day. And one day he was like, I would always go pick him up because he didn't have a car here. He came here like on a plane or something, so he didn't have a vehicle. So I would pick him up. And one day, I went to go pick him up and he was mad. And I'm like, why are you mad? Somebody has stolen his car. Not his car, his brother's car that he would use sometimes. Somebody stole his car, his brother's car. Turned out it was like a friend of his brother's ex-girlfriend. It was so weird. And he knew where they lived because the brother knew. He's like, that's where they live, you know, blah blah. So he comes out, puts something in the back of my car, and he gets in. I'm like, what'd you put back there? He's like, oh, just some beers, because he was an alcoholic too. Would drink from the moment he would wake up to the moment he would go to sleep. He was drinking. And he would always tell me, you know, ¿para qué quieres un borracho como yo? Like, why would you want a drunk guy like me? Like, a drunk, you know? And I was like, and I would tell him, I ask myself that same question every single day. And he would laugh about it, you know? So anyways, he's like, oh, I just put some beer back there. He's like, oh, let's go to this house, you know, that I found the person that stole my brother's car. So we went. And he goes to the back and he brings out a damn machete. A machete. A machete. I don't know how you pronounce it in English. Machete? Machete. So anyways, he brings out a machete and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Oh, and mind you, I smoked weed back then, you know, with him. And he made like this pipe looking thing with some aluminum foil. I don't even remember how it looks, but he made it. And I was so nervous because he got the freaking machete out and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'll be right back. So he went supposedly to get his car back or his truck or I don't know what. And I'm like, oh man, I'm going to jail and here I have this handmade pipe and all this shit. So I freaking threw it out the window because I panicked. So then he comes back, nothing happened, thank God. Why did I stay around? Because that was my man. I wasn't gonna leave him alone, you know. I stayed out in the car. He comes back, he's like, they're not home, we're gonna have to try another day. So we left. We would buy like, this is like different, you know, that was just that one time. We would buy corn, we would roast them. You know, he had a friend who had like land and we would always hang out there because that's like was the hangout spot for them. He always had me there. We would like roast corn, we would make like carne or just, we would cook out there. Like we were always just together alone. And if he was with his friends, he always had me along. Like it's crazy. I was always the only girl with a bunch of guys. Hi guys. And they were all very respectful, like, because he was like those, don't even talk to her, don't even this, like, so they were all just like, oh hi, but they would like look down, like they were very respectful. And I was always with him. And I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I mean, I'm thinking if I should even say anymore. So, you know, he did his drugs. One day he told me to hide it for him in my bra. He's like, you're a girl, guys won't touch you, you know, there. That's what he said, but apparently they do, I guess, I don't know. So he had me hide it in my bra. Like, he was such a druggie. He would do crystal. I don't know what that is, okay? I don't know the difference between crystal, meth, crack, all that shit. I don't know the difference. He would do crystal because he said it. He had a ball and he was smoking out of it and it smelled weird. And like, he would do all this shit. Like, after he was comfortable with me, he would do all this shit in front of me, you know, and I'd be smoking my weed. So I guess you could say we're both druggies, but I mean, I don't think weed is bad at all, you know. I don't think it's bad at all. So, but at the time I thought it was. And he would get so paranoid when he would like do his drugs. He would get so paranoid and I would be, you know, high, paranoid myself, because I would always get hella paranoid when I would smoke. Like super, like, you know, my brothers know I would turn off the lights, I would hide under my blankets and be like, you know, I would be paranoid when I would smoke. So he was paranoid because he did his drugs. And we would be like hanging out in that spot. It's like a farm. We would be hanging out there. And then one day he was like, shh. And I'm like, what? And he's like, they can hear us. And I'm like, who? And he's like, they can hear us, stop talking. And I'm over here paranoid like crazy, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to jail. Like, who can hear us? And he's like, the police. Like, he would be so out of it. And I'm over here like freaking hyperventilating, like thinking, oh my God, who's after us? You know, am I in a movie? Like, it felt weird. It felt like I was dreaming. So then, it was nobody. It was just, he was paranoid. He was so freaking paranoid that somebody was listening or that somebody was watching us. He's like, somebody's watching us. Nobody was ever watching us, but he was like crazy like that. And then, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it sounds crazy, but I think I have had the most fun with him. You know, it's like the fun that is like bad, but you just live in the moment and you don't give a shit about anything else around you. And now that you think about it, you wouldn't do it again, but you don't regret doing it because it was like one of the highlights in your life that you were like, oh man, I had so much fun. You know, we went up this mountain in my Ford Explorer. I had a little Ford Explorer. And he's like, oh, I hear there's a spot on top of the mountain. And I'm like, if you guys were to see this spot, it was just like trees. And I'm like, there ain't nothing up there, you know. And he was all drugged up. And he's like, just trust me. And we went up, and I thought I was gonna die. We were like, you know, mountain, instead of going up like this, we were like this, like just going up. And I was like, ah, you know, we're gonna die. And it turns out there was a hangout spot up there. There was empty beer bottles everywhere, freaking condom wrappers. Like, it was a party spot up there that was like only a few people knew, and he knew because his friends knew they would hang out up there. So when we went a day and nobody was there. We went up there and we were just sitting up there looking down like at the whole city. And I remember I even recorded him, and because I knew I needed to record him because he's gonna leave and I want to look back at these videos. And he knew, like, he wouldn't even pose, you know, take pictures with me. So anyways, and then we left. And then there was another time where he was gonna get in a fight with someone and he had a rifle. Like, I don't know how I meet these crazy guys. He had a rifle, and then I was like, this time I don't know who he was gonna go fight, but I was like, I'm not going, bye. And I stayed. And then he left, because sometimes, you know, he would borrow his brother's car. He left, and then he came back for me, and he's like, let's go, I'm not gonna do it, you know, whatever. So he ended up not going to where he said he was going. I think he was just a lot of talk. But anyways, and we hung out. And you know, it was funny because when he would be like drugged up, I remember that he would pull out his nose hairs or his mustache, and he would just be pulling it, and I'm like, what the heck? He had like bald spots on his little beard. It was like red brown, his beard, and I mean his mustache, and he would like pull like hairs out, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing, you know? We went to Washington. He had like a daughter he was looking for that he never met, but heard that somebody had, you know, a daughter that belonged to him. We went to Washington, we looked for her, we couldn't find her. And this is another moment where it was really stupid of me, and you know, family is looking right now, who cares, you know? Sorry, but you know, I was in a point in my life back then where I was depressed and lonely, and I felt like shit, and I was like, I didn't care if I died. So I didn't care about anything, okay? Let me just make that clear right now, because I know you guys are gonna be like, what were you thinking? Like, you know, why would you? I just didn't give a shit about life. All I cared was I wanted to be with this guy. If we died, we died, and you know, that's how it was. So we went to Washington, and we went looking for, you know, his daughter. We were always on adventures. Like, we would always go on adventures. Like, it's crazy. So we went to look for his daughter. He asked around, you know, he went to his old friends, and you know, we hung out with them for a little bit, like always, again, the only girl there. And they didn't know where she was. Like, they didn't have info on his daughter, so we left. He had been drinking. So, you know, he was drinking with his friends already, and then we were driving, and he's like, let me drive. And I'm like, you know, no, because you've been drinking. He goes, I've driven drunk so many times. He's like, and I'm not drunk. He's like, I've just had a few beers. Oh, but there I go, letting him. So he's driving on the freeway going 100 with a beer, open beer on the side of his, you know, the little drink area thingy. And he's driving and he's drinking, and I'm over here like, wee-hoo. Like, I was nervous, but like I said, I didn't care. So he would drive super fast. We got to where we were going in like half the time because he was driving super fast. Like, I could have died, you know. And now that I think about it, just to think of Emily being in that situation, like, oh God, she will never know that I did that. But you know, like, it was just, there were so many situations with him where it was dangerous, you know, and I was putting my life at risk, like going up the mountain and, you know, risking the car flipping and rolling down the mountain, you know, him driving 100 in the freeway. And you know, it was just crazy. And you know, like I said, he would always say, why do you, he would ask me, why do you love me? There's nothing special about me. And then I was like, I don't know. Like, I didn't know. But the thing is that he was crazy. He was a druggie, you know, he was all those things. He was jealous. He was like, if he were to take me out, like, or let's say to a date at a park, like, oh, let's have a picnic here, he would be like, if me and you don't work out, he goes, I never want to see you take other guys to the places I would take you, you know. Like, he was that type of guy. Like, I never want to find out that blah blah. Anyways, so then one day he was at his friends, you know, he had a lot of friends, like a whole bunch of guy friends, all like Mexican guys, oh, he was always with them, you know, or I was always with them. And one day I didn't go because we did something at my sister's house, and I got drunk off my ass, like drunk. And then I called him and I was like, hey, can you pick me up? And he's like, yeah, you know, which that's what I liked about him. If he didn't have a ride, he would look to see who would give him a ride. And then he shows up with another guy, which was my friend from a while back, like, which I knew. And they get there, and you know, he went to pick me up, and then we left, and then we ended up falling asleep in the truck in that farm where I said we would hang out. Like, I remember just passing out. I was so drunk. And when I woke up, I remember that I had the hugest hangover, and I was sitting back like this, and he was like laying on my lap, like he just passed out too, because he had been drinking too. And I remember that I was like, oh my god, my head hurts so bad. And I was just like, and he gets up and he's like, don't move. He's like, you probably have like a really bad hangover. And I'm like, yes I do. So his friend had a little RV there, and his friend wasn't there, and he's like, he's like, come inside, you know. So he's like, lay down here, because he was gonna work on some horses or something. They had horses. He's like, stay right here and just sleep. And I'm like, okay. So I went and I laid down, like it was like this tiny little RV, like it barely had a little bed, and that was it, and like a little table. But the guy was at work, so he's like, just sleep, you know, he doesn't care anyways. So I'm like, all right, you know, I felt like crap. So I went and like laid down, and I was sleeping, and it was so cute because he would come in and check on me, and he's like, how are you doing? You know, he's like, you thirsty? You want some water, or you want me to get you something to eat? And I'm like, no. Then I would fall back asleep. I would wake up, and he would like bring me a cup of noodles, and he's like, here, if you eat this, you'll feel better. Like, there were so many things that were wrong with him, but so many good things that nobody saw but me. And like, you know, you have a friend that, you know, they have a boyfriend or whatever, and they're a piece of shit, and you find yourself telling them, that guy is a piece of shit, why are you with him? Only that person knows what that person is really like, and there's a reason why they're in love with them. Like, there's a reason. That's how I've always thought, you know. So I seen the good sides of him, how he was so like, you know, he would take care of me. He would say some hurtful things, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, then I saw his sweet side, like his sober, sweet, like, you know. And you know, he was crazy, you know, because you know, here he is trying to fight people with machete or with a freaking rifle and shit, like, because he was drugged up, so all those drugs were making him crazy. And one day, you know, it all came to an end where he had to leave, and he left back to California, and I didn't see him for a good year, and we stopped talking. Like, because when I found out that he left, like later, he would still call, but then later I found out that he went back to his ex, his mom's kids, or his kids' moms, his baby mama, there you go, he went back to her. So I was so devastated. I was like, you know, oh my gosh, you know, blah blah blah. So anyways, that ended. You know, we didn't see each other for a good year. I didn't hear nothing from him like anymore. I even changed my number. I was so mad I changed my number because he would keep calling. Changed my number. And then one day, I am not lying, I had a dream about him. Out of the blue, I had a dream about him, and all I remember was that he came up to me and he said, hey, I'm back. And I remember I woke up and I was like, oh, like it even took my breath away. I was like, oh, what? Like, and I stayed up just thinking about that and thinking about him, and you know, I was like, oh, he came back in a dream, and he's like, I'm back. Well, a few days later, like a week after, I went to work, and this is when I worked at the motel, and I was working the night shifts. I was working, and somebody rings the doorbell, because this is when we would lock up the office, and I would hang out in the back because I was too nervous to look out the window, so I would hide in the back where nobody could see me. Somebody rings the doorbell, and I look through the camera, and I'm like, oh, who is that? You know, because I could see through the screens who was at the window. So I come out and I see his friend, and I was like, but he'd been there before with girls, so I was just like, oh, what's up? Like, you need a room? And he's like, hey, do you remember this guy named Juan? And I'm like, and I knew exactly who he was talking about, but I was acting stupid. And I was like, nope, I don't remember, nobody named Juan. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, so you don't know this guy right here? And then he moves to the side, and he was hiding, and he walks slowly to the window with his, you know, his hat on, and he's just looking at me like this. And I'm like, my reaction was, can you hold on a minute? I'm like, espérate, espérate. I went to the back and I was hyperventilating. I was like, because, you know, I always thought about him. You know, I was so in love with him, and here he is. So I'm over there hyperventilating, trying to compose myself, and I'm like, calmate, Yuri, calmate, calmate, Yuri, calmate. So then I come back out, and I was like, you know. So then I just look at him, and then he's like, so you don't remember me? And I'm like, what are you doing here? I was like, what the hell are you doing here, man? And then he's like, I came back to see you and all this crap. So, and then the friend was like, so should I leave? Can I leave him here? And I'm like, sure, you know. So the other guy left. Then he came into the office, and, you know, we were talking like in the lobby. You know, our office had like a little table and chairs. We were sitting right there, and we were talking, and then, you know, it was crazy. And I'm like, I'm looking at him, and I know I had this huge smile. Like I could not put my smile. Like I was like, just kidding. Like I could not stop staring at him, like, you know. And then we just started talking, and then I was like, how's your girl? And he's like, you know what? He's like, we tried to make it work because of the kids. He's like, but it just didn't work out. He's like, I can't stand her, and, you know, I'm here now, and I'm here for good. So then, of course, I believed. I forgot I stopped eating. I believed him. Like any smart young woman would. No, just kidding. I wasn't smart, but I believed him. I was dumb. He did leave her. He did. He wasn't with her at the time. You know, so he's like, so can we try this again? You know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, I told him how much I was hurt, you know, that he had left and that he went back to her. And he's like, you don't have kids. He's like, you don't understand. That line is stuck in my head because I have kids now. And now I understand. I'm not saying that, you know, I would stay with Cesar just for the kids if I didn't love him. But I could see how hard it would be to just up and leave the kids, even though you'll still be in their life. Like, I can see what he meant now. And I always criticize people that said, ay, es por los hijos, or it's because of the kids, it's for the kids. And I'd be like, bullshit, you know, like, now I understand because I got my kids, and I understand that everything you do is for them and you want them to be happy. So, like, when he said, you know, I went back to her because of the kids and all this shit, I was like, at the time I was like, bullshit, whatever. But now I understand that it's hard. And if some of you are like, no, it's not, you know, this and that, like, for me it would be. For me it would be to, you know, if I was like not happy with Cesar and I found somebody else, I cannot see me leaving him because my kids love him. Like, it would be hard is what I'm trying to say. But that's not the case here. I love El Piquín very much and we're very happy. So don't get the wrong idea. I'm just saying that, you know, I can see how hard it would be to do that, you know. Anyways, so he came back. We were together for, I want to say, like a good 6 months, 7. And it was the same shit. You know, he'd be over here like, you know, doing his drug, and I'm over here like, you know, you have your highs and your lows in life. I was at a low. You know, I would smoke weed because my mind would be gone. And at this time, my parents were going through their separation where they started having problems. And they finally had separated. And I was living at my sister's because I didn't want to see nothing. And that's why I moved out. And then all of my brothers moved to Washington. All of my brothers. Everybody. They left my dad alone in this house. My mom, you know, was living with her sister. And I was living at my sister's. And I felt lonely, you know. Kids should not have to go. You know, it's really hard on the kids when your parents split up or get divorced. And yes, we were older. I was like in my 20s. But it's still, you know, you're used to seeing these people together, you know, and they were happy. And you're like, what happened? You know, what changed? And, you know, you don't understand. You know, they were so happy and you're like, what changed? You know. Anyways, so that's what I mean by me being at a low. I was depressed. I was lonely. My brothers were gone. My sister was like, you know, doing her own thing with her family. And I don't know if she was pregnant or she just had a baby, like her 3rd baby. Or she had a baby. Because, you know, my sister has her kids. She got pregnant when she had just had a baby. The baby was 2 months old and she got pregnant with another one. So my sister had a lot on her plate, so I kept to myself. You know, I had no friends. I had one, but I barely even talked to her at the time. But I had no friends, you know, I was alone. So that's why, you know, I feel like I got too attached to him, because, you know, I had nothing else going on. That's why I didn't care if I died, because I felt like there was nothing. Whew. Bring me back to memory lane. Cesar's coming.
Here's your phone.
No, just keep it. But anyways, so, you know, that's why I was like at a low. I was depressed. And he was the only good thing that was going on in my life at the moment, okay? That was the only good thing. That was the only happiness I found, or that I had. And, you know, I've mentioned how I've been through a lot of other shit, which I have. But, you know, when people asked, you know, when people asked, how did you get so big? There's a lot of, like, little sections of my life that have a lot to do with, like, my binge eating, me gaining weight, me being so big. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit that just went on in my life, you know, that led me to being dangerous, living on the edge. I only share that with you because, you know, if you guys ever feel that way, I want you to know some things will change and things will get better. Like, I am so happy right now. I'm angry. I have anger problems, and I know it's because of shit I've dealt with in the past. But I wouldn't change how I'm living right now. I'm po, but I got my kids, my Cesar, you know, our little tiny casita. Like, we're happy. I don't need anything else. No, I lied. I need skin removal surgery, and then I'd be 100% happy. Anyways, long story short, because Cesar's almost here, even though this video is already long. We dated. You know, we still did our, you know, smoking and all that crap. We still did that. We were still together almost every day. But we started arguing more. We started having fights. You know, when you get comfortable with someone, you start getting on each other's nerves. That's how we were. But it was like not a lot, you know, but we would argue. We stopped talking for like a good week because I yelled at him, and he was those type of people like, you yell at me, I will never talk to you again. And sure enough, he proved it. He stopped talking to me, and I was so sad. But I ignored him. I'm not the one that, oh, I don't care how much I miss you, I will not go looking for you. You know, that's how I was. So I wouldn't look for him, he wouldn't look for me. Until one day he looked for me and he's like, hey, can you come pick me up? So I was like, sure. Damn, I sound like a man. And we started seeing each other again. And, you know, after that, he decided to go back to California because it was going to be one of his son's birthdays. And he's like, I need to be there. So I'm like, fine. He left, went back to the girl. Story of my life. And that's when I knew he's always going to go back to her. This is it. I told him to stay with me. I was like, you know, why can't you just stay here? You know, you can visit your kids. And he's like, no. So I'm like, fine, go. I let him go. He left. I loved him so much. When he left, 2 days before he left, I already knew he was leaving. 2 days before he left, he already had the plane ticket and everything. I was having a bad day. I was crying. I was so depressed. And I remember I called him crying, and I was like, you know, do you have your brother's car? He's like, no. He's like, and I told him, I feel like shit. I am so sad. Like, you know, I think one of my brothers was still here, and that's when he left. I don't know which one it was. Like, the last brother that I had here left to Washington. Yes, because I had one more here. He left, and then that's when I was like, I was breaking down. I'm like, I'm like really lonely now. And I remember I called him, and I told him my brother left. You know, I feel so alone, and I'm so sad, you know, and I'm crying to him on the phone. And then he said, hold on. He's like, I'll see you in a little bit. And then he hung up. And that showed, like, remember I said he has his good side? That showed such a nice, noble side of him that, like I said, probably nobody has ever seen. So he gets there really fast and he's like, I'm here. He's like, you know, come out. So I went out. He like parked in the back and my room was in the back, so he parked in the back. And I come out and I remember I was with him and he just went to be with me because he knew I was sad. He knew I was lonely. And you know, for him to do that, like, I knew that he had feelings for me. And he always told me, you're gonna be someone that I'm never gonna forget. And he goes, I don't care if you're married or if you moved on and if you have kids. He's like, every time I come up here, I'm gonna look for you. And I was like, yeah, right, you know, like, whatever. And 2 days later, he left. And you know, I was already depressed because my brothers had left, and you know, because my parents had just split up. So he left, and I remember that when he left, I kept crying and crying and crying and crying. Like, I would be crying at work. And my managers, they were so cool. They were so cool. They would see me crying and they're like, oh, you know, just go to the bathroom, you know, put yourself together, I'll handle this, you know, the customers. I kept going to the bathroom and crying. I could not stop crying when he left. And that feeling that I had was the worst depression I've ever had in my life. Because not only did my parents split up, not only did my brothers all leave, not only did the guy that I was so in love with left. It's really hard to talk about this story. It's like bringing back memories. So all I would do was cry. I would work extra hours at work. I did not want to be at home and think, because thinking would make me sad. I had to keep my mind occupied. I would work double shifts. I didn't care. As soon as I would get home, I would drink NyQuil. I would take Tylenol sleeping pills. I just didn't want to be awake. And every day was the same shit. I would get home, chug NyQuil. Get home, chug NyQuil. Wake up, chug NyQuil. Go to sleep, wake up, take sleeping pills. I was like that for a while. Like, I was really bad. And he tried calling me, but I'm like, I can't. I need to heal from this. And if he comes back, he's gonna open that wound again. So I ignored him. I changed my number again. I would change my numbers como los calzones, like, cada rato. But you know, I ignored him. I needed to get him out of my life. And his friend, that was my friend too, like, we would talk on the phone, and me and him got really close. Not like in love or we crushing, no, like, he was in love with some girl who had broken his heart. And you know, we got really close. We would fall asleep on the phone, like, with my friend from a long time ago, who was also friends with him. We would fall asleep on the phone talking, because he would tell me about his heartbreak with that girl, and I would tell him about how I was missing this guy. So we became really close, and like till now we still talk. Like, he's even friends with Cesar. Like, we've seen him at the bar, like when we first met, me and Speaking. And like, now he moved, but you know, we still talk on Facebook. Like, and you know, and Cesar will see me talking to him and he don't care, because he knows, like, he's a really good friend of mine. So we kind of found comfort in each other, and he did help me get through it a little bit, because you know, we can relate on our heartache. And you know, I finally got over him. And not too long ago, like right before I quit the motel, he showed up on a night that I wasn't working, my ex Juan, and he left me a letter, and he said, I'm here, I'm back, call me, this is my number, I miss you. And I was like, fuck you, motherfucker. Because I already had my kids. I already had Emily and Sebastian, and I was already with Cesar. And I'm like, yeah, no. But he really wasn't lying when he said he was still gonna look for me. So when he told me, I'm gonna look for you, doesn't matter if you're married, because he already knew I was with someone. He already knew I had kids. He didn't care, and he went looking for me, and he's like, I'm gonna keep looking for you. So that night that he left that letter, I was hiding in the back, and every time somebody would ring the doorbell, I was like, oh my God, like, please don't be him. I do not want to run into him. I don't want to see him, you know, because it's just, there's no point. You know, what we had, my memories with him were good, some bad, you know, but he's always going to be someone that I had a really good time with. Because like I said, I feel like, you know, I was going through so much shit, and he was there for me. But you know, he didn't, like, did he not see that by him leaving me, it was gonna add more to my depression and loneliness? Like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if anybody has been through anything like this, but if you have, like, you know what it feels. And if you haven't, you can just be here and be like, she's crazy, she's dumb, you know, depression over a guy. Like, you just You just don't know, you know, until you're in somebody's shoes and live something like that. You just will never know. But yeah, guys, so I'm done. Sorry I did most talk and not eat, but like I said, I'm amazed I ate that much. I still can't eat a lot. Sometimes I can eat a lot, sometimes I can't eat that much. I feel like I ate a lot because, I mean, damn. You know, damn. Anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I felt kind of rushed because I knew Cesar was coming and I don't want him to hear me talking about, you know, my ex. Even though sometimes he watches my videos, but, and my kids are out there, but I felt kind of rushed. But, you know, you guys kind of get the hint. You know, he was crazy because he was on drugs. And yeah, that's another chapter of my life that is way back there. And I'm sharing with you guys. So I hope you guys like this story time, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.